All right, we literally just push stop. We're pushing start. We're at a state of rest in a vibrational principle of natural law.
If something's in existence,
Oh,
it's in.
wait, not rest. Nothing is at rest. But I was ranting about matter frozen in time and some new rabbit holes, quantum theory and consciousness and other stuff. Very interesting. Check it out. I'm going to try to shut up and get through this now.
Barb was the weird one for trying to explain that to her. Okay, so there is no such thing as true rest. It doesn't exist. If something's in existence, it's in motion. Everything moves, everything vibrates, and at the most fundamental level, the universe and every single thing which comprises it is ultimately pure vibratory energy that is manifesting itself in different ways, different frequencies, different vibratory forms. The universe has no true solidity as such, as we imagine solidity at the macrocosmic level. Matter is merely energy in a state of vibration. And what this is, if we truly understand this, and many sciences are now finally really understanding this and trying to propagate this knowledge out into the public, we will come to the understanding that this is a spiritual construct for experience to be gained, to have an experience and learn and grow in consciousness. That's what the purpose of this whole thing is for, you know? So nothing is truly solid, you know? It's again, like we say, we are spirit having a human experience. The whole universe is spiritual, having a experience in solidity, all right? That's how you have to look at the principle of vibration. The principle of polarity states that everything has a dual nature to it. There are polarities in everything that exists, okay? Everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. However, opposites, they are identical in nature, but they're different in degree. So let me give you an example of what that means. Are hot and cold really opposites? Or can we simply look at them as the presence of heat energy or the absence of heat energy? Meaning that they're the same thing, energy. And whether it's concentrated in a specific area, which would make it hot, or whether it's absent from a specific area, which would make it cold. Okay? That's what hot and cold are at the fundamental level. At our level of perception, they're opposites, but at the fundamental level, they're the same thing, energy or lack thereof. Just like those three stages of the trivium. Are knowledge and ignorance the same thing? Yeah, actually they are. Because truth is always present. It's a matter of whether it's taken in and processed or whether it's refused to be taken in and it's not processed. Okay? Yep. So it's just like that. They're identical in their natures, but they're different in their degree. Okay? Extremes can meet and blend and, you know, play with each other, like as depicted in the yin-yang symbol, masculine and feminine. They need to be blended. And at some level of reality, everything that is seemingly contradictory may be reconciled. Now again, I stress the term at some level. At the unified field level, everything is consciousness, pure consciousness. However, at this level, there are differences in consciousess. At this level...
Sorry, I was noticing, I believe it was in part 14, in a weird rant, unified field theory. And then I watch Brent and Weinstein from Evergreen, working on unified field theory. And just interesting stuff. Love it. Don't get it. But if I'm going to be mindlessly entertained, I'm going with quantum physics, not football.
At this level, there are differences in consciousness. At this level, there are things that are taking place that we need to understand. At this level, there are things that we need to set right and rectify because it does matter. It does matter. Okay? So, again, be careful with some of the new age-isms that get put out there. Yes, can all paradoxes be reconciled? At some level. In this realm, we need to have our feet on the ground in the physical domain. You know, this is the concept in the Hermetic tradition, which is where a lot of this understanding derived from. Out of ancient Egypt, what was known as Kem, the land called Kem, was what the actual Cometians referred to it as. The word Egypt is a bastardization of the capital, the Greek pronunciation of the capital city of Chem, which was Memphis at one point. And that city was referred to as Hygeptos in Greek. And that became Egypt in English. But the original name for Egypt was Chem. That's simply called black or dark in their language. It was the black land. And we get the word alchemy, which means, again, al, from. Okay? It means from the black land, al-kemet, which is where alchemy comes from. And that means out of darkness, this knowledge will come and bring light. Because a lot of these mystery tradition teachings do come from Chem. And also the people who took it from Chem and started to propagate it in other areas were the Greeks in the Greek mystery traditions. And again, there was light sides and dark sides to all these mystery traditions. Okay? There were some who used the knowledge wisely and tried to propagate it and tried to elevate human consciousness, and there were those who wanted to use it selfishly for their own benefit and to control others. So my point...
that being a constant, always. Little tidbits like that pop out. I think they really need to be taken home because that is that's the whole point of the channel, is noticing that they can play with some creepy stuff, but do they really mean it? Nah, it's probably a product of, the art department. Or does it seem like it's this, you know what I mean? Like where do the positive and negative forces play out is what we've been trying to look at on the channel in a weird way. And the fact that from the beginning, I think it should be acknowledged that there was those who use things for darkness. This is the problem. Morality, once again. Turns out a lot of our peers are morally gray.
The Greeks in the Greek mystery traditions. And again, there was light sides and dark sides to all these mystery traditions. Okay? There were some who used the knowledge wisely and tried to propagate it and tried to elevate human consciousness, and there were those who wanted to use it selfishly for their own benefit and to control others. So my point was that in the Egyptian mystery tradition, I lost my train of thought there, I'm sorry. I was talking about all paradoxes may be reconciled at some level. And I brought up the mystery traditions. I can't remember why I went into that, so I'll just keep going. Let's look at the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. Okay, so everything has a rhythm to it or a swing to it. There's tendencies that exist in energy. The pendulum swing manifests in everything that we undergo, everything that we perceive. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. It's just...
As much as this shouldn't be this clear, is this one of the rules, the natural law rules that the secret societies manipulate with the Hegelian dialect? As long as you... Problem, solution. One mob against another mob.
An opposite. It's perceived as an opposite. Rhythm will compensate. Now, how this should be understood when we are talking about natural law is many people will say, well, that's just the way the tendency is moving us. It's just the way the tide is taking us. Right?
Go.
But that's not really accurate. Okay? We can't look at these things as that the rhythms are set in stone and it has to be this way now. Right? One of the things that a lot of the Hermetic tradition taught regarding these laws, these principles, were they can be overcome by higher levels of consciousness. Okay? This one was one of them. Rhythm is a principle that is a tendency for something to swing a certain way.
Holy shit. Oh, I want to call Anjan. Oh, it'd be the principle of rhythm that's affecting the weird coincidences that go around the manifestation of food at my job. Not just me making it good. I'm putting thought into it. I'm focusing on trying trying a couple things. And I called it negative consequences, and I think I'm wrong. I think it's the ebb and flow, the rhythm of if I'm committed to doing something a certain way, there's going to be a ebb and flow to that, a rhythm to it, right? I get okay, and on the off side is there'll be moments where you're going to get put out because you have to perform for someone else. You, them, you, them. And I was looking at it wrong. And I'm like, I have people looking at it with me, noticing coincidences. Because I literally have people understanding now that I will go out in a downtime to go make a private phone call, and 9 out of 10 times, as soon as I walk out the door, someone's rolling in. Almost more than half of the time they're there to eat. Now, as I point that out to people, I was calling it the negative side effect of manifesting something good, but maybe that's not. It's maybe my complete lack of understanding on the rhythmic nature of energy. And that I'm getting my ass handed to me is the ultimate high of what I've manifested. Me not being able to eat hot food is the ultimate low of that frequency. And it's all the same thing, but I never looked at it that way because I looked at it as a punishment, not a part of the energy that I have created. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Yeah, I think that might be right. Now, right from my perspective that I believe in what's being presented in this seminar. Okay? You have to understand and accept things for what you think they are. I cannot be that person. I just believe this to be true. And then, once again, I think I'm trying to set an example of how to apply it. I think this makes sense because then it would be more fair because I don't actually, I'm confused why so much punishment comes along with goodwill. Well, it turns out there's an entire part of the toolkit I'm not applying to my thought processes.
Now, how this should be understood when we are talking about natural law is many people will say, well, that's just the way the tendency is moving us. It's just the way the tide is taking us, right? But that's not really accurate, okay? We can't look at these things as that the rhythms are set in stone and it has to be this way now, right? One of the things that a lot of the Hermetic tradition taught regarding these laws, these principles, were they can be overcome by higher levels of consciousness. Okay? This one was one of them. Rhythm is a principle that is a tendency for something to swing a certain way. Let's liken it to genetics. You know, if you look at some newer biology, a lot of modern biologists are suggesting consciousness plays into whether a gene activates or not and expresses a certain condition. Well, this is the same way. There's something that can be done about the swing or the tide, okay? Let's look at it as you have a boat, and you want to row the boat out to sea, right? You have to get past the tide. You have to get past the breakers and the waves. And if that tide's really strong at high tide, it's going to be very much more difficult. You're going to have to expend more energy to get it out to sea. If, however, you were taking it when the current's moving out to sea, okay, there's a flow that's moving outward deeper into the ocean, and you start rowing that boat then, you're going to be able to do it much more easily. Okay, so if there's winds pushing along a plane, it's going to have to expend less energy. It's going to get there more quickly, okay, because it's adding to the energy. If, however, you're flying against the wind, you got to expend a lot more energy. It's just a tendency. You can still get to where you want to go. You may just have to exert more effort. Right now, we're in a tendency of
Yep, there
things.
it is. And then what I can do is remove the pre-existing beliefs that I'm being punished. No, uh, I can't change the tide. The tide is not set like in nature. This tide exists in a human form by chance and approved supper, dinner, breakfast hours. Right? You're going to get a lot of people between 5 and 8. That's when they think it's great to go out to eat. Yeah, I have pre-existing principles that are corrupted, and then the misplaced work ethic that punishes myself. And if I can look at it differently, maybe I can see. I'm trying to deal with the anger. It creates frustration in me. And I realize one of my static answers in life, they're like they tell me I'm good at stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't know. If I was good at it, would I hate it so much? And I hate the boom and bust of short line cooking of food service. Um, 1 minute you're doing nothing, the next minute you're getting killed, and interesting. I have to filter a lot of this through my thoughts first.
Are not flowing, okay? It's an ebb, all right? And it's something that needs to really have more energy put into it if we're going to resist the tendency. It doesn't mean nothing can be done about it. It doesn't mean it can't be overcome. It means at the time we're living in, okay, we want to make this motion go in this direction, but its tendency is to move in this direction. So more will is required at this time to move the consciousness. At other times, the consciousness may be flowing in a positive direction, and it may take much less energy in order to move that consciousness forward. However, we're not living in that time. We are living at what many researchers have called the Kali Yuga, or the age of darkness and destruction. You know, this is the point that resists the flow in consciousness the most. And it's going to take an enormity of effort to break down these pre-existing belief systems that don't serve who we are. So that's the principle of rhythm. This is the principle here in natural law that most fits in with how I'm using the term natural law today, cause and effect. Many people, again in the New Age community, don't want to believe that there's causes and effects, and that effects are driven by causes that, come first and then manifest conditions. So the principle of cause and effect simply states that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. Every single thing that occurs happens according to law, all right? Chance is a name for law, a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but
Magic and some of magic is just an easy way to explain technology we don't yet understand. I didn't make that up. Someone else said that way better than me, but yeah, I think that applies right there.
nothing escapes the law. So again, is there free will? Yes, there is free will. But is there free will to ignore law without consequence? No, there is not. That's the limit of free will. Free will is operating within boundary conditions that I'm referring to as natural law. It's a series of laws, actually, okay? Free will operates within these parameters or boundary conditions that cannot be exceeded or gone beyond without consequence. Oh yeah, you can break natural law. Yes, you can break it, but you cannot break it without consequence. You cannot break it without consequence, negative consequence.
And to reflect back on the rhythm, I had misinterpreted some of the toolkit. And instead of forgetting completely about the rhythm and looking at cause and effect yes. And honestly, some things that aren't here. Some spell casting ideas that we're not discussing at all right now are actually taking place we're using the word manifest here. But, it's how much will and directed energy is it? And then how much is just work ethic? Ooh, that gets complicated. Uh, yeah, so I've picked up quite a bit today. Very good day for old Rollen, I'll tell you that.
And that's why this body of knowledge has in the past been referred to as consequentialism. It is the knowledge of how consequences are generated by our free will decision-making processes within the boundaries of natural law. So this
Yeah, because I have natural law boundaries and then man's boundaries I transgressed against. So I got to learn about it. I'm learning about the spiritual aspects of it all, the cosmic or a conscious level of it. But boy, do I understand the brick and mortar level.
This is within the boundaries of natural law. So this is the law of cause and effect, the principle of cause and effect. And I think this image, I was searching for images that encapsulate cause and effect, and I found this cartoon, and I think it does it brilliantly. Most of all, because will the effect happen immediately? No, it will not happen immediately. There is a time lag. You set the cause into motion. The universe is going to intelligently bring to you, through a rearrangement of all the dynamics that it needs to rearrange, the effect of what you've generated by setting that cause into motion. And there is a time gap between the cause going into place and the effect coming around and hitting you. This is why the pattern recognition of cause and effect is more difficult, because it is separated by a time lag.
I believe I was just reprimanded by my teacher right in front of you. So if you think this is all crazy, it's not. I'm pretty sure I was just put in my place. I realized it. The next thing emphasizes and solidifies the thought. And the last statement lets me know that, I was, because it's a much, you can't leave certain rules out of it. Then you miscue how it all works. And the next thing you know, you're a hippie chick with crystal smoking a bong. I don't want to be that.
Is more difficult because it is separated by a time lag, by what we perceive as linear time. Now, if you did a wrong to somebody and immediately you were stung by a wasp, every single time you did a wrong to somebody, it showed up and bit you immediately within 2 seconds of you hurting somebody, stealing from somebody, lying to somebody, etc. Would you start to connect the stinging to the wrong that you did? I think most people would see the pattern. They would recognize the pattern. But since that doesn't happen, and there's a time lag to experiencing something harmful to ourselves once we do something harmful to other people, it's very difficult for people to see the connection through the time lag. Most
people appear to need shock collars. I'm just saying, there's that stimuli. No, we don't. That's part of the control system that comes way after this thing. Freeing ourselves from bondage. But, the conditioning aspect is legitimate. Shock collars.
Harmful to ourselves once we do something harmful to other people, it's very difficult for people to see the connection through the time lag. And moreover, it doesn't exactly happen in a one-to-one ratio like this, okay? Karmic consequence is more complicated than all of that, all right? What's happening is that all of us are experiencing in the aggregate the wrongs that the human species is conducting on a daily basis, which we do not attempt to rectify and stop. Through our inaction, karma is being accrued. People think that karma can only be accrued from action. No, it cannot. It can be accrued from inaction as well. And that's where many people in our society is. They're not taking any action, and they're willing to let evil run unchecked. So this is ultimately going to come back and bite us, and what we set into motion is going to actually topple over onto us if we don't change our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Nothing escapes law. We are bound by it eternally. Let me just go back. I'll leave it on this slide for a moment. For some people familiar with my work, you've seen me break down the Matrix trilogy. And the law of cause and effect is brought forward extensively in the second Matrix movie, The Matrix Reloaded. And the scene that encapsulates this the most is the character of the Merovingian, who tells to the heroes who want to be free from the Matrix and its control, okay? You are coming to me without an understanding of why you are in this position. You don't understand the causal factors that have led to the current conditions that are in place. Therefore, you are coming to me with no power to effect change. You are powerless. So why should I help you? You're powerless because you lack knowledge and understanding of what set these events into motion. Why? The question why. He says, why is the only source of real power. Without why, you are powerless. He's talking about cause and effect, and he says it specifically. Causality, he calls the only real truth. And this is the villain. The words of truth come through it's a big technique in Hollywood too. The words of truth are spoken by the villain in the movie or in the series, okay? But if you listen, and there is a twist, a dark twist to what he says. He says free will is like an illusion. No, it is not. That's where the dark occultist is trying to trip up the heroes. There are both free will and natural law. He tries to say free will. The Morpheus character says to him, everything starts with choice. And Morpheus is correct. Our choices set that causality into motion before it becomes an effect. And the Merovingian tries to tell him, no, there is no free will. That's where the dark occultist will give you the bulk of truth and then poison it with that one thing he wants to get you to accept. Okay? So the next thing that needs to be understood is the two planes. All right? There's the plane of effects and then there's the plane of causes. No power to affect any change lies.
Yeah, I think we'll stop with the plane of effects and call it a day there. I got a lot from it today. We have so many to put up. So just so we know now, by this point, you've seen everyone, I think one every day now. We'll just, I have enough saved up, I believe, to get me to my next day of recording. So it should work. I get 3 more tomorrow probably. So we can have this as a daily, I can have it as a daily experience. No, I get it as an hour and a half experience. You get it as a daily experience and we get to do this together. Yeah, Mark Passio's Natural Law Seminar over here on Reactions, Rants, and Rabbit Holes with old Rollen Green. We're on part 15 already. So, I mean, it is going strong. And I picked up some knowledge I needed today. So, huge, huge day for me. Let's see how that translates into some reactions and go from there. Later.